What's up guys, Metal571 here, and today I want to talk about the Meze 99 Classics. So, what is this headphone for? This is really a kind of a luxury item. It's a luxury wooden headphone. It's using walnut, audiophile oriented, closed back, dynamic. And that's what we're working with here. The build quality is actually really fantastic, and Meze had they have a whole video about how they kind of designed this, and I think it's pretty fascinating, so I'll link that below or in the description, and you can take a look at it. But really, there's a lot of use of metal here. There's another type of metal used as well, which is quite specific. They go over it in the video. The headband is very nice. I actually don't know if this is real leather or not, but I'll clarify that in my usual top comment. And the ear pads are very plush. So my only issue really with the build quality is that if you look at this thing, you'll find something unusual. And if you review as many headphones as I do, this may look fine to you, but it's not. Most headphones that have this oval-shaped cup are tilted a little bit, and that's so that when you put them on your head, they kind of align with the way your ear shape is better. But these are completely vertical, which causes it to sit a little bit unusual on your head. I get that they probably did this because of aesthetic reasons, but I feel like the fit could be improved further if they had angled the ear cups a little bit. So, but other than that, I think the comfort was really, really nice. These are very deep ear pads. Should be noted that these are not the first generation ear pads. They were actually changed out at one point. I'm talking about that as well when I had the conclusion and a comparison to the original ear pads. I don't have them. I asked Meze if they would provide them. They don't have them in stock anymore, unfortunately. But I'm going to discuss that a bit more when we get to the sound. But for these ear pads, these are very, very deep. I feel like if they were thinner, they might not have been as comfortable for me, but I did not have any issues with these. So that covers the build and comfort. Now let's talk about the sound of these things. Holy moly, these are a bass monster headphone, and I don't think any audiophile listening to this is going to put it on and say, yeah, that's about right. Because it's not. The bass here is massive. It's probably like 4 or 5 dB above the Harman response, and we're extending all the way into 300 hertz and maybe a little bit beyond. So it sounds like they're really boomy. Like there's a lot of not just mid bass and sub bass, but there's also a lot of upper bass and even bleeding into the low mids a little bit, which is what really bugged me, because that really just throws off the balance of sound. You got this like really overpowering bass and upper bass, and it just drowns into the mids, and it just does not sound right, unfortunately. Now, as far as the pads go, apparently the original pads did not have anything like this problem, and something that happened to this headphone is it went through a change of pads. There was the original pads, and apparently they had some comfort issues. Again, like I said, I tried to get a pair of those from Meze, but they didn't. They wouldn't give me a set, probably because they don't make them anymore. And these are the new ones, the ones you can get if you buy this headphone right now, and these are much deeper. But the problem is there was no retune, and when you don't retune a headphone, when you drastically change the pad dimensions, you're going to have problems. And that's exactly what happened here. There's space like ridiculous, way too much. And that's unusual. You guys probably know if you've watched this channel long enough. I usually don't complain about. I like bassy headphones. There's no surprise there. The Harman response I'm a fan of. And these are nothing even like that. They're just like way above that. I mean, probably not as much as some Beats headphones, but it's up there, and it's pretty strong, and it's distractingly strong. So that's probably the worst part about the sound quality, though, honestly, as the mid-range sounded about right on timbre, and I didn't really have any complaints about speed or control there, and except for, of course, the bass just bleeding into it at the lower frequencies of the mid-range was tiring. And then we come to the treble. The treble, I thought these were only a little bit hot in the mid-treble region, around 10K, but that was only on some songs. I think only some mastering, like electronic music, is going to be just a little bit aggressive. Most of the time, it's dwarfed by the massive bass if you don't equalize these things. Another note I have here is that the driver seems to produce detail pretty well. The driver seems to do a good job with giving you like small details. I think the speed of it seems to be, capable. It's just that when they put these pads on it, the bass took over to the point where it just like destroyed the the balance that they originally tuned this for. At least that's going off of measurements. I haven't heard a first generation one of these. I actually have heard the Neo before at Zeos's place, and it was also, I put them on, I was like, what? How could this have that much bass? Did he roll the pads on them? And I checked it and I was like, nope, those were the stock pads. So that's kind of what happened here too. These newer deep pads just blew up the bass on the Neo and the classics, and it's crazy. Soundstage, I was surprised. I actually just A-B'd these against K553, which is what I'm wearing right now as a monitor. And the soundstage here was a little bit wider and had a little bit more precise imaging, despite the frequency response issues that I've talked about here. Isolation, I thought they were pretty good, definitely above average. I've seen closebacks worse. Of course, there are better ones like monitoring headphones, like the HD280 in particular. But I mean, like hardly any closebacks beat those in isolation. So don't expect that, but they should be good enough to wear out like a bus or something like that. So as far as genre pairing goes, I really feel like these things are kind of specific. I think that if you're a casual listener and you're looking for something luxurious and you don't mind having some nice strong bass that, bleeds into the mids like quite a bit, I figured this would probably be pretty good for some genres. I mean, I guess people who like hip hop, you could enjoy these. I feel like this is probably because I'm a guitar player, but for rock and metal, I think it's just too boomy, and it just makes the guitars sound bizarrely forward in their bass frequencies. And for anything really well recorded, like classical or jazz, I think you're doing a disservice to those genres, because the tonality's so wrong with the bass. And for electronic music, I think there's so much bass here that you probably are going to get a headache if you don't equalize these things. Now, they can be EQ'd, the bass can be tamed a bit, but I found that they still have a little bit of resonance, probably from the wood. I find a lot of wood headphones have some kind of bass resonance, probably naturally. And these kind of had that. Sounded like it was around 200 to 300 hertz. So even if you equalize them, they have a little bit of a resonance at that frequency, and you can notice that. So they can't be completely corrected here. Interestingly, though, I would have liked to hear these with the original pads, as I wonder if the original pads played down that effect, or they have something to do with making that resonance worse or better with these. As far as amp needs, this is a big plus on these. You definitely don't need an amp, although I'm sure that giving them a low output impedance source will optimize their quality to the max. You can definitely run these off a phone. They're really sensitive. They get real loud from my stack with the Magnituber. So overall, I think that there's better stuff out there for the price. Like I said before, if you are looking for a headphone that is luxurious looking, isn't Beats, but probably costs about the same amount. These run about $310 right now when I looked on Amazon. I think that they really would be more competitive if they were priced at $200. And I wish I could hear these with the original pads, but I can't because those are not available. So no, if you buy a set of these on eBay or whatever, you'll definitely want to ask if they have the original pads or if these are the bigger ones from the second gen. I'm not exactly sure when that changeover happened, so you may have to do some research on that. But just know that that's a thing, and they didn't really say anything about that. But when Tal remeasured them with the new pads, he found all the same stuff I just mentioned in this video, and it definitely sounds like the measurements, unfortunately. So I would definitely say, if you're still looking for something bassy and fun, I would go with the Bang & Olufsen H6 second gen instead of these. Or, of course, if you are doing mixing mastering, my top pick, as you probably know by now for people who have commented on this channel, K553. They are much more neutral, much less bass, much more in line. So that's my take on these. I suppose I forgot to go over some of the accessories. I'll leave that for the end here because you guys mostly care about the sound. I know my subscribers. But some other nice stuff you get is you get a cable. The cables are removable and they are double-sided. So there's 2 mono here, and I've just bundled this one up. You don't have to do that. It's nice. It's this is a fabric. And the end here comes with a 1/4-inch adapter. This one does not have a mic. It's just a stereo cable. And then there's another one that comes in the box with the mic. This one, and looks like an inline control as well. So you've got that. And then you have, I believe, an airline adapter. Like I said, the 1/4-inch adapter. And then you have this case as well, which is pretty cool. It's nice that they give you a case. Even the Bang & Olufsen doesn't come with a case, surprisingly. But this does. So they give you the full package here, but overall I still think the sound is not really up to par for what it should be for the price, and I wish they had kept the original pads if the comfort wasn't such a problem. So that's my take on the Meze 99 Classics, and I'll see you guys in the next one.